This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Hello.
Well, let's get back to it.
After weeks of destructive storms, Britain will be hit by a tropical plume from the Azores this weekend, bringing balmy temperatures. Basking in it will be. Like a right bunch of baskers. The mercury is set to rise from tomorrow, with weather experts predicting mild and settled weather set to last until Christmas. Oh, what? No white Christmas? Again? Get Bing on the phone. Bad news. For today, the Met Office says daytime showers will ease off and then overnight's going to be dry. Long clear. That was the weather for earlier on. It's very, very easy to predict the weather from earlier on. Overnight, dry, long clear spells. Patches of mist and fog will form, however, which may make driving difficult. So if you're on the road, it's recommended that you turn off all of your lights except the fog lights because, that makes you look cool, and then simply speed up, undertake on tight turns and drive like nothing bad will ever happen to you because you are special. Of course, if you are driving a hatchback, you will already be doing this.
Thank you.
Saturday, temperatures beginning to rise, but rain is set to become heavy and widespread by the evening, and I bet I know where. Checking while you wait. Aha! Glasgow, not raining at the moment. Pfft, rubbish. And then raining tomorrow and raining on Sunday, and not raining on Monday. But raining on Tuesday and raining on Wednesday, and then not raining on Thursday and Friday, and then raining on Saturday, and not raining on Sunday, and then raining on Monday, and, well, it's a bit, it's sort of on and off. I would expect that you will get wet. That is my prediction. Patches of mist will linger longer on Sunday, which will be a cloudy day. Did I mention about Saturday? Temperatures rising, rain set to become heavy, widespread. Sunday, cloudy, outbreaks of rain and showers across the north and west. See?
Correct.
Patches of mist will linger longer. Monday, dry but dull, like a geography textbook.
Boring.
Jim Dale, not that one. Meteorologist for the British Weather Services, Jim Dale, said we are about to get a subtropical airflow starting on Saturday, and we could see temperatures in the south reaching 14 degrees centigrade. And I'll translate that for you into Her Majesty's Fahrenheit. That's 14 times 2 is 36, and 36 plus 32 is 72. Wow. It's going to be 72 degrees Fahrenheit this week. Can you believe that?
No.
Jim Dale, not that one, meteorologist for British Weather Services Jim Dale, said this air is coming from Spain.
What?
Spain. Filthy European Union air. We should push it back out to sea. Fix bayonets. Get that Marc Francois on the phone. He's going to have to single-handedly repel a tropical plume. My money's on you, Mark. Excellent work. After the weekend, the generally mild weather will hold out for about a week. It'll also be calm, with no storms on the radar, unless, of course, you are Bodger Johnson, in which case storms seem to be on the cards for a good long while. Eh, Bodge? Yes. Saturday, chilly, then bright and cloudy and rainy. Sunday to Tuesday, cloudy, rainy, showery in the northwest, dry, bright in the southeast. Mild. Would you like to hear the long-range weather forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
So till Christmas Eve. Only 2 weeks till Christmas Eve. Blimey. At first, breezy and cool in the northwest. The south will be milder. Then, drier, more settled in the south, extending to all areas by the weekend. Temperatures expected to be near normal, but turning cold in the south in time for Christmas. Then, last week in December and the first week in January. And if we get through that, then that's pretty much sort of half of winter-ish, perhaps, a little bit. So it's going to be, for the end of December, first week in January, settled, temperatures close to or slightly above average for the time of year. Settled with temperatures close to or slightly above average for the time of year? We'll take it. Ken emails, Nick, I sympathise with Carrie Johnson. Now she has to take care of 3 infants. Offensive. Blimey, where to start? It boggles my tiny mind. Well, let's concentrate on the Johnson household, shall we? Sure, why not? because Dominic Cummings has stuck his oar in, talking about his wife. I mean, Sky Sports should actually be putting this on, pay-per-view. There are reports that Lord Geit, Bodger's independent advisor on ministerial interests, is considering his position. He's taken up yoga. Not Lord Geit considering his position. Where will we get another anti-establishment watchdog like Christopher Edward Wollaston Mackenzie Geit, Baron Geit? You see, Bodger previously assured Lord Geit, a former private secretary to Her Majesty the Queen, for crying out loud, that he did not know who was paying for the refurbishment of his temporary flat. Asked who is doing the spending for the refurbishment of your temporary flat, Boris said, didn't know. But, and it's a huge, giant, wobbling but, that part is true. You see, an official report by the Electoral Commission yesterday revealed that Prime Minister Bodge had texted Tory donor Lord Brownlow in November asking for more works to be signed off, as in paid for.
What?
Actually asked for the money, he did. The findings opened the door for yet another probe into Wallpapergate, exposed by the Daily Mail.
Disgusting.
Can we skip to the part where the investigation says that there's nothing to see here, and please move along, or Priti Patel will slap your legs. Oh, they're going to have an investigation. Can't wait. Who are they kidding? So the Commission fined the Conservative Party £17,800 for failing to declare donations properly over the saga. Oh, that'll teach them. 17,800. That's what they drop on lunch. Not each. I mean, that would be insane. But, you know, if a few of them get together. 17,800. It's a light slap on the wrist and asking very politely if they wouldn't mind not doing it again. Dominic Cummings, who was in Downing Street when the expensive redecoration works were being planned for the living quarters above number 11, has waded in again. Do you remember Dominic Cummings? No! Yes, that's him. Well, he is the weirdly shaped gift that keeps on giving. He wrote on Twitter that he had told the PM in extremely blunt and unrepeatable terms in January and the summer of 2020 that, quotes, his desire for secret donations to fund wallpaper, etc. was illegal and unethical. And you know what the difference between illegal and unlawful is? Do you know the difference between illegal and unlawful?
Absolutely not.
No, he doesn't. I do. Do you? Where am I? Oh yeah, Twitter. This is what we're reduced to now. Bloomin' Twitter. So Dominic Cummings wrote on Twitter that the PM shouldn't ought to do it. It's illegal and unethical and against the law to get somebody else to pay for his, paint and paper, and bloomin' scatter cushions, and I've got no idea. And you know what? If there's anyone who knows a thing or two about what is illegal and unethical, it is Dominic Cummings. It's part of his expertise. Dominic Cummings said Bodge pursued it throughout the year, trying to keep me and others in the dark, and lied to Geit CCHQ, that's Conservative Party headquarters, to cover it up. He said, I have said repeatedly for months, obviously the PM lied to Geit. Geit could only conclude, as he did, by not interviewing anybody actually involved with the flat. So it was a thorough investigation that left no stone turned in the process of coming to a verdict of not guilty. I mean, come on. What was the nature of that investigation? You, the accused, are you guilty? No. Oh, well, no further evidence is required. Off you go, sunshine. God, Britain's jails would be empty if that was the criteria. And then Megamind had to go at Bodger's wife. Dominic Cummings said Boris Johnson got a wrong 'un pregnant in Carrie Johnson, who he claims wants to control the country via her husband. And that's my job, said Dominic Cummings. Got you running around on a lead, Bodger. The Prime Minister's former chief advisor, who left Downing Street last December after losing a power struggle with Carrie Antoinette, claimed the decision to marry Carrie was an inevitable disaster.
Warning!
Yeah, a disaster for whom? I wonder. Maybe all parties involved. I mean, on past form, it's got to be a disaster for at least Carrie, unless she likes open marriages. I bet every woman that Bodger's ever gone out with thought, well, he won't be acting like that with me. I'll settle him down. No straying on my watch. How did that go, by the way, ladies?
Dreadful.
Yeah. In a Q&A on his blog, where he urged subscribers to ask me anything, Dominic Cummings said of Boris, he's a shambles. But the shambles has been made worse by hooking up with the wrong 'un, Carrie Johnson, who wants to control the country via him. He got a wrong 'un pregnant, listened to her insane advice and screaming, and went into a flat spin. Seriously, it should be on pay-per-view, shouldn't it? I mean, how much would you watch to see them actually go at it? Let me rephrase that. Cummings and Johnson going at it with fisticuffs rather than anywhere else that your mind just went.
Disgusting.
Awful. God, I feel like I need a shower now. Cummings claimed that Boris Johnson throws everybody under the bus. Yeah, and not one of those pretend model buses that he makes out of beer crates. Throws everybody under the bus to save himself, he said, but predicted Tory MPs will wield the axe in 2022, saying, I know 15-year-olds who would do a better job at PM, in all ways, than Boris, except given a speech. He can't actually do anything other than the words BS side of things. He's done, gone by this time next year, probably summer, he said. Summer? We might not still be here by the summer at this rate. This country, by the summer, will have been sold off to G4S or Serco or as a Trump golf resort, and it'll have been sold for cash, of course, off the books, and Bodge will be holed up on a solid gold yacht off the coast of the British Virgin Islands, and he'll still be telling us he acted in accordance with the rules. Ain't that right, Bodge?
I can't comment on that.
Cummings insisted that he believed the PM knew about the Christmas party on December the 18th, and he may have even seen it unfolding before his very eyes if he wasn't at Chequers. He said he knew, but I think he didn't attend. Though remember the geography. To get upstairs, he has to walk past that area where he could see it. They're having a party. He was lying, he said. There were invites sent across Whitehall. It was an organised party. The trolley is Bodger. Trolley with a wonky wheel. Just keeps smashing from one side of the aisle to the next. That's perfect. The trolley knew this and tried to lie his way out, but was bleeped by the video. A reference to the Allegra Stratton leak. Leak. Leak being the operative word when Allegra Stratton is concerned. Cheer up, dear. It might never... Oh, no, that's right. It already has. He added in a tweet, did Dominic Cummings, there's lots of pictures of the parties which will inevitably get out and invite lists beyond number 10 to other departments. Oh, blimey, there's more? I don't think I can stand it. I'm exhausted. This government is exhausting me. I'm tired. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
I just want to tell you all how happy I am to be back in the studio, making a picture again.
It's a radio show, dear. Peter texts, I heard that last year's number 10 partygoers' favourite song is We Fought the Law and We Won, especially now they've heard that the police will not investigate it. The police investigating evidence for a crime is wasting police time. All accused criminals must now provide their own evidence to suggest a conviction, to secure a conviction. And if it happened in the past, then the police aren't remotely interested. We are now only interested in crimes that happen in the future. I mean, what is happening to this country? Gordon says, it seems to be true that Mike Nesmith's mum invented Tipp-Ex. I thought that was just an urban myth. The Monkees did some good songs. There was a great cover of Stepping almost as good as the one by the Flies. Thanks, Gordon. Thanks for the information.
Rock and roll!
Yeah, another one bites the dust, and another one's gone, and another one's gone, and another one bites the dust. Only one left is not Peter Tork. Is Mickey Dolenz. Oh, I bet it's Mickey Dolenz. The Monkees had some great songs. They really did. I'll be singing them throughout the course of the evening. Belfast. Hello, Lorcan.
I'll second that on the Monkees, Nick. Excellent. And I just wanted to ask you to continue on the rock and roll theme. If you had seen the new Beatles documentary on Disney Plus yet?
No, I have not.
Oh, Nick, you got to see it.
I've been enjoying Paul McCartney at the Cavern. They showed that on the TV the other day.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, it was pretty good. I mean, better than I thought it would be because I can give or take Paul McCartney, but then if I had to be absolutely nailed down to only hear one of the Beatles' music from now until the rest of the time, it would have to be his.
Do you think so?
Yeah. I mean, I used to think John Lennon, but, it's the woman, all that dreary stuff.
There's a scene in the documentary, okay?
Well, don't tell us.
I'll just tell you this one scene,
See,
okay?
now whenever you tell people, don't tell me, they say, oh, well, I'll just tell you this one thing. Bambi's mother gets shot.
It just follows what you say, there by Paul McCartney. And he's just knocking around on the bass, and all of a sudden you can hear the start of Get Back.
Right.
You can hear the start of Get Back, and he starts doing all the words, kind of making up words.
And he just pulls it out of his ear.
Just pulled it out of his ear.
Yeah.
And, it's really frustrating in parts because they're making up words and you're going, no, just say this, it'll sound much better. And then they eventually,
Right.
They eventually get there, but it's incredible. You've got to see it, Nick.
Oh, well, I'm going to see it.
Such footage exists.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks for the tip. Cheers, Lorcan. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, everybody's, just thrilled beyond measure at that new Beatles thing, which was done by the same bloke that did Lord of the Rings, wasn't it? Wasn't it that guy? Did Lord of the Rings? The film that went on so long, I think is actually still on. I watched it last about 3 years ago, and I think it's still playing on my DVD. They're still saying goodbye to each other, right at the end. It just goes on and on.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, just leave already. He also did that really quite fantastic, and I sort of, when first time I saw it, I thought, I'm going to watch this every year it comes around. It was the colorized World War I footage. Did you see that? Oh, brilliant. I did intend to see it every year, but sometimes you sit down and you think, wow, I'd rather watch Tom Cruise jumping between buildings, frankly, than a lot of dead people. Never mind. That's just me. Superficial. Mikey emails, I have a job lot of Peppa Pig wallpaper, enough to decorate a London flat. Do you know anyone who might be interested? Bodge?
Peppa Pig World. Peppa Pig World is...
Yes.
It has...
Yes.
Peppa Pig...
It's the right answer. Lancaster. Hello, Dave.
Hey, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, have you seen the new Sky Sports schedules that have come out this week?
No, I have not.
There's the Japanese paper folding World Championships.
I assume you're joking.
Well, it's on pay-per-view.
Oh. I am actually in pain. Whew. I feel like I've been winded. A listener with material. Oh, no. Thanks a lot, mate. Don't ever call this show again. 0345 6060 973. Let's have East Yorkshire. Mike.
Hiya, Nick. Yeah, no wonder you're knackered, mate. You got about 10 threads into the first 15 minutes.
I know.
I'll
be picking at them throughout the programme.
It's been one of those weeks. One of the sort of forgotten bits, on a humorous note, is, do you remember Monday? Boris in his police uniform.
Yeah, that's right. Do I remember Monday? Well, it does seem like so long ago. So much has happened between now and then. Is it just a matter of 5 days?
Look at him, a full body shot of him in police uniform.
Yeah.
And then look at Cartman from South Park, dressed in black.
Yeah, but Cartman actually pulled it off. Whereas Bodger, it was a bit hard to tell. Is he inside that uniform trying to get out or outside trying to get in? Whichever way, it doesn't come in his size.
But then a funnier bit, if you want a bit of humour, is look up Wikipedia's assessment of Cartman's character in South Park. And I'm not going to say any more. Narcissist, etc.
Right.
But read it, it'll amuse you. But and I talked to you a couple of weeks ago about wasted dead cats. Well, we had the birth of the child.
Yes.
And it attracted 5 minutes attention this week.
Yes. Yeah, people weren't really in the mood to congratulate him. We were beating him with large sticks, and he came up with this good news, and we contemplated it for just a moment. We just ticked it over in our minds for a brief second and went back to beating him with sticks again.
Which is the depth of his problem. But my next point is, again, the depth of his problem is that all over the media this week, people have not been asking whether Boris is doomed. There's been discussions about who his successor should be.
Yeah.
Well, when you get from is he going to survive or not to who's going to succeed him, you're doomed.
Yeah. It's been interesting. It's a word I choose advisedly. It's been interesting, Bodge, but time's up.
Bye-bye.
See you later. We'll probably be seeing him from now until the end of time. He'll exit number 10 at some point and then get buried up to his eyeballs in money from all of the people that he has, who he has treated right while he's been in office.
And then you talk about Carrie, again, pen farthing. I mean, Johnson's been accused of being responsible for them getting brought back from Afghanistan. But who's really responsible? I mean, is Boris actually worried about a few animals? Or is his wife? Who organised that?
Is he worried about a few animals? Well, given that he doesn't appear to be that worried about millions of human beings, let's assume that the answer is no. That animals is not what... the plight of animals is not what keeps them awake at night. I think what keeps them awake at night these days will be... Yeah. Thanks a lot, Mike. 0345 6060 973. So much to talk about. You can text 84850. Hang on. So much to talk about and so little ability to do it. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I'm taking you off the air. I think you're having a breakdown.
I think I'm having a breakdown. Tom tweets, I bet Bodger did not think that his crime week would go this well. Yeah, it has been a crime week, eh? He said it was all downhill after he donned a police beanie hat from his dressing up box. Yeah, seriously, Bodge, you look like an oaf in that get-up. I mean, could you not at least get a jacket that's in your size? I think maybe the people around him who facilitate these ridiculous photo ops, they're maybe not his best friends. They're maybe not acting in his best interests. I mean, I know his thing is to appear unkempt, but not bursting out of your uniform like that. I mean, that was embarrassing. Crime Week. Yeah, that was supposed to take our minds off it, by the way. Everything. The whole everything about them. We were supposed to be distracted by that. They were going to come down on middle-class drug users. Yeah, sure they were. Yeah, like it wasn't just another distraction tactic. They were going to take the driving licenses and passports away from middle-class people, the Tory heartland, if they were caught in possession of something that the government decided on whatever given day it is that they didn't like. And at the same time, they'll be instigating passport IDs for you to vote. Just mull that one over for a while. Northfleet. Hello, Tony.
Good evening, Mr. Abbot. How are you?
Good, thanks.
I need your help in one way.
Which way?
This way.
Or that way? I can help you in that way, but not this way.
Our so-called Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, in one breath says he has no knowledge of any party or meeting or business meeting in number 10.
Of course not.
In the second breath, what he's saying is no rules were broken.
Yes, so no rules were broken during the holding of the party that did not happen.
So if he does not have any knowledge of a party, how did he know no rules were broken?
Tony, I think that what you are causing here is a nuisance, and you can expect 51 weeks in jail.
Oh, well.
Those are the rules.
Oh, okay.
That will teach you right for being a nuisance. But thanks for the question, Tony. Impossible to answer. And it just keeps coming and coming. The more they try to cover it up, the worse it gets. God, if they'd just come out right at the beginning of all this and said, yep, we're an entitled bunch of old Etonians who've never heard the word no, and we just did what we wanted while we were instructing the rest of you to stay indoors. You knew that when you voted for us. It shouldn't come as a surprise. You knew who I was when you elected me to be Prime Minister of this country. So it's actually on you, but we'll try our very best not to do it again. If they just tried that, or some version of that, cleaned it up a bit, then they might have got away with it. But it's all this, no rules were broken in the holding of these parties, which didn't actually take place. Oh, right, that's clear. New revelations plunge the PM further into crisis after the PM's Deputy Director of Communications, Jack Doyle, is said to have made a thank you speech to up to 50 people who attended the bash on the 18th of December last year.
Thank you.
ITV News claimed that Jack Doyle, then the PM's Deputy Director of Communications, also handed out paper certificates to members of the communications team as part of a joke awards ceremony. Everybody must get prizes. The former journalist has been overseeing the response to the allegations, with Number 10 denying that it amounted to a party. I mean, they can't possibly think that we're still believing their denials. Nobody is believing it. But they've dug themselves into a hole, and they just can't admit, now, having denied it all this time. I loved the bit when Bodger said, I'm absolutely appalled to see that video of Allegra Stratton, and I apologise for any offence that was caused by that video. Right. The former journalist has been overseeing the response to the allegations, with Number 10 denying that it amounted to a party. A party, they said.
No.
But an extraordinary leaked video footage of a mock press conference showed Downing Street staff giggling about the cheese and wine gathering, sparking the resignation of spokesmodel Allegra Stratton. Giggling. Yeah, first it was all... and then it was... Yeah, please. The gathering, along with another leaving do, where Bodger is said to have given a speech, if you please, is now the subject of an internal investigation by the Cabinet Office. Gosh, well, I wonder how long it'll take them to find no evidence. Isn't it exciting?
No.
Bodge has flatly denied being aware that a party had happened. Something wrong with my mouth? Shall I try that again?
No.
Bodge has flatly denied being aware a party had happened. But the apparent attendance by one of his closest aides raises fresh questions. You know, and his apologists and enablers, they go on TV and they said, well, the Prime Minister has been crystal clear that a party didn't happen. Yeah, he has. Yeah, we know that. We know he's been crystal clear. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Asked if the PM had confidence in his press chief, Jack Doyle, his official spokesman said yes. Is that a no? On whether Jack Doyle had offered his resignation, the spokesman said, not that I'm aware of. Is that a yes? The spokesman also said Bodger retains full confidence in advisor Ed Oldfield after he appeared in the leaked footage that prompted Allegra Stratton to resign. Full confidence. Taxi for Ed Oldfield. Dominic Cummings said on Twitter that Mr. Doyle was a goner, but predicted that Bodger would keep him on staff until after the Cabinet Secretary's inquiry and then use him as the sacrifice. It's the fate of all who gets close to the Sun King. Their wings melt and they go headfirst into the drink.
Booze.
Not that kind of drink, although maybe, perhaps. T-texts, Cummings looks like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. They're both twisted. Yeah. Brian says, Nick, last week you said you passed Downing Street 6 times a week. I thought you did weekends only. Have you got a second job? No, Brian. I do 3 nights. So I go back and forth each night past Downing Street. 3 times 2 is 6. Even Zaphod knows that. Counting with Zaphod.
And 1, 2,
3,
11.
Oh, no. Close. Try it again.
And 1, 2.
Yes. 3.
6 million.
No, getting worse. Yeah, I pass Downing Street 6 times a week. I go in and out. I'll do 3 shows. I mean, I don't have to camp here on Friday and they only let me out on Sunday. I do get to leave, you know. Luke texts, evening Nick, Bodger Johnson hasn't resigned yet. That's unsurprising, but he'll be gone before New Year. Hopefully now people will realise that Keir's measured manner is a better option than a fool at these times, but Keir will be facing not Boris, but instead a compromise mix of someone wet and a non-entity. Which non-entity will it be? Place your bets.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
This is absolute tosh.
Sam texts, Nick, things might be bad, but at least they found a way to win the war on drugs. Absolutely. Yeah, that was the start of the week when Bodger went and did his thing where he dresses up in somebody else's clothes and pretends to do their job. God, absolute clown that man is. And he thought that that's what we were going to be talking about all week long. He said, "Well, chuck in a few things that the commentariat won't be able to resist. We'll say we're going to start arresting middle-class drug users. Do you think that's likely?
No.
No, not really. No. But they'll pretend, and they'll pretend that, doing the exact same thing, the war on drugs, the same thing that they've been doing without success for 50 years, if we just do it more, that'll work. They know it's stupid and they know it's ridiculous, but they just threw that at us this week to get our minds off their catastrophic clown show. And, much to my amazement, it didn't work. We saw that dead cat on the table and we just ignored it. Nothing's working for you now, Bodge. We see straight through you. What else have you got? I think at this point it's a war or nothing. Yeah, but that was the beginning of the week and they were going to reposition themselves as the party of law and order. Yeah, despite the fact that they've been in power for 11 years. And so everything that is wrong with this country is their fault, not Jeremy Corbyn. And despite the fact that they defunded the police and the prisons They sold the police stations. They sold courts. They've undermined judges and are attacking the legal system in every way, shape and form that they can. And then they're trying to kid us that, well, actually, we're the party of law and order. You trust us, don't you? And it was like they just dumped this body by the side of the road to delay our progress, and we just glanced at it out the side of our out of the side of our eyes, and carried on regardless. They must have been very disappointed because that was probably their biggie. Must have taken them hours to come up with that one. Written on the back of a napkin, I bet. Newport, hello, Bob.
Good evening.
Bob.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd just like to say, I come from a mining background.
Yeah.
All my family. Always voted Labour.
What?
It's the first time that I voted Conservative.
Bob, unfortunately, no one has ever made a mobile phone that can actually be used as a phone. We sit in anticipation of that happening, but at this point, no. Couldn't hear a word you just said. Do you want to try again?
What? Oh, sorry. Hello. I
Hello.
was just saying.
Yes.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God for that.
Hello.
I was just saying.
Is there anybody there?
Hello. Yeah, Rob. I'm here, Rob.
Rob.
Yeah, in South Wales. Yeah.
Right.
Right. I was just saying that all my family have always voted Labour here in South Wales in the mining valleys.
Right.
And it's the first time that I'm going to vote Conservative.
Ah, you like what you've seen so far, do you?
No, but I don't want them to just walk away from the mess that they've created. So I want to vote them back in for them to solve the mess that they've made.
Right, and you would expect that would be their first port of call, rather than just to see how much of this mess can obscure their various underhand dealings.
Yeah, well, whatever. We just won't let them out of solving the mess that they've created.
Right, just as an interesting concept, just as a punishment, keep voting them in. Right. And they can't leave until they've tidied up their mess. Well, that is an interesting idea, Bob. It might work on children, but I'm not sure that it would work on this lot. Because I don't think that they have any intention of clearing up their mess. They have intention of cleaning up, but not in the way that you mean. Thanks a lot, Bob. Kath texts, I read in The Guardian today that in South Africa, 1/3 of people with Omicron require hospital treatment. In the UK, scientists stroke Sajid Javid, that's the actual, the symbol stroke, not... He's not suggesting that UK scientists stroke Sajid Javid.
Disgusting.
In the UK, scientists stroke Sajid Javid have said we'll have 1 million cases of Omicron by the end of the year. If that happens, 333,000 people will need a hospital bed just for Omicron. Never mind cancer, heart attacks, etc. I need a holiday, says Kath. Omicron, we're all going to die. I heard that it wasn't that bad. I heard that it wasn't that bad quite a few times, and nobody has actually said anything that I've heard to the contrary. So that was the second distraction tech bomb that he chucked at us this week. I'll get into that in a minute, because did you notice the swift change in approach as far as working from home goes? Oh boy, it was so quick. If you blinked, you probably missed it. But I'll get into that in a minute. So much to talk about. Daryl text, deck chair Dom. What, you mean angular, tetchy humanoid Dominic deck chair Raab? He's in hot water again following more revelations about the Afghanistan evacuation snafu. The good news is that at least he isn't running the country. The bad news is that if anything happens to Bodge, Deputy Deck Chair Dom will be running the country. We'll be running the country. It's okay, everybody. If we don't get Bodge anymore, we'll have Dominic Deck Chair Raab. See, that's the alarming part, is that they don't all go. They just play musical chairs. Well, they'll still be going in the same blooming direction. And the same people will still be coining it in. And the same people will still be doing favours for their mates, which they will call in at a later date when either they get bored of running the country or we get bored of them doing it. Either way, they'll be just fine. Don't worry about them. Let's have a call in Oldbury. Oh, Ranjit.
Hi, Nick, you're right.
Yes, good, thanks.
Okay. You know what? Sometimes the best laid plans can go astray, can't they?
Awry.
Yeah. Okay. And, this distraction thing that Boris keeps on doing, it's like if you went into a dentist with toothache and the dentist kicked you in the shin.
Right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be thinking of your tooth anymore. No, that's right.
That's it. Right. So Boris Johnson, going back around about February, thought, listen, sooner or later I'm going to be in the doo-doo, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
He says to his missus, come on, let's knock another child out.
Well, the timing was absolutely perfect. I'm not sure that that's entirely accurate. It's just one of those lucky things that comes along. I'll talk about that later on as well. Was that it, though, Ranjit, or have you got any more?
No, I got more, yeah.
Okay.
So he thinks, and these days you can tell within a day of when the baby's going to be born, yeah? So he goes in on a Monday as Robocop, and the next day he goes in somewhere else, but he never had a high vis on Monday. And suddenly all these stories get released, yeah? And suddenly, Bodge's had a little baby. And you know what? Everybody says, mate, our babies are starving, right? Your baby's going to be born with a silver spoon in his mouth or her mouth. Yeah,
I was born with a plastic spoon in my mouth.
Rock and roll!
I think that's probably the greatest line in the history of rock music. I was born with a plastic spoon in my mouth. Excellent. Excellent work, Roger Pete Townsend. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Pete.
Yeah.
Not Rog.
That's
Pete.
That's what I'm saying now, right? Now he's boxer tricks, yeah? He's running out of them, and sooner or later, the 1922 committee, are going to call him in and say, listen, you're sitting on the coal, son, right, because you've messed up the country first.
Yeah, except they won't say it like that. It'll be all like that.
Yeah. And then this poor little girl that's born, I hope she has a house. But think about all of our children, what he's doing to our children now. Yeah, he has absolutely ruined this country in more ways than people can see.
It happened so quickly. He did it to us just like Donald Trump did it to America, and with pretty much the same speed. Bodger just did it with words of more than one syllable.
Oh, shut up!
Whereas Donny managed to take over a bigger, richer country with, by appealing directly to a certain demographic.
I love the poorly educated.
And it was easy. I mean, he only just lost the last election by a whisker.
Nick, the thing is, when he says if you get the numbers right and this, that, in the right order, you get more points.
Yes.
Yeah? And then Peppa Pig is the same thing as what Boris Johnson turned around and said. Because that one, when you play Donald Trump doing, if you get the answers in order, you get more points.
Yeah.
That's like a 5-year-old, right, sitting in front of a teacher, right, and answering questions on nursery
I know,
rhymes.
but he is right. If you get it in order, you get extra points.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Extra points for getting it in order.
I'm gonna clip that, right, because I find that so amusing, right? And it's the same thing. And out of all the ones you play, the one is, oh, shut up, that's a good one, yeah? And the poorly educated.
Right.
But the other one is this Peppa Pig one. It's going to go down in history, yeah? When people say he's trying to copy his dad, Donald Trump, yeah? And I think he thought, hang on, I've got to beat that one. If you get it in order, what can I... Oh, yeah, Peppa Pig. And then I think he was having a nightmare about Jeremy Corbyn because he says where all the streets have broadband.
Yeah, okay. This is just like an off the top of your head stream of consciousness, Ranjit. I think we've left any semblance of a point a long time ago. But anyway, excellent work. Thanks a lot. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, both people appear to appeal to a certain demographic. Not being offensive, but
don't be rude.
Sorry about that. It's in my genes. Can't help it. It weren't me. Can't help it. Dave texts, I told my daughter there's a plump, jovial, white-haired man coming down the chimney, and she said Boris. No, she didn't, Dave. You're lying about that. Liar! Amelia tweets, how can Bojo run the country and know what's going on here if he doesn't know what's happening under his roof? Well, that's a good point, Amelia. Daniel tweets, first one of this evening, Nick, leave our Boris alone. He's doing his best. God, painful. At least now, I assume, Daniel, that you are being sarcastic. At least now, the only time that people say that is when they are being sarcastic. His supporters seem to have been shut right up, don't they? Very few people defending the bodge anymore. Curious that. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
So they open their big mouths. Now, King talk.
A big sack of monkey nuts.
A big sack of monkey nuts. Paul texts, are the 7 parties at Downing Street a sign that COVID is not to worry about? The people with the facts and the science not given a hoot about passing the virus on to their loved ones over long Christmas holidays. Well, that's an interesting point there, Paul. Always following the science. Fiona says those bendy buses were put out of service by Johnson, but luckily they've found a new mission to run over sacrificial lambs. That was a bit tortuous. But thanks for the effort, Fiona. Croydon. Hello, Simon.
Hello, Simon. Oh, hello there, Nick.
Oh, hello.
Good evening. Hi. Yes, I know you've got
just one second. Oh, yeah. No, we got a... Echo. I've got an echo on the line, Simon. We'll call you back. God, it's like doing a show in the Alps. Only duck sounds don't have echoes. Call him back. Hey you. Everybody sing. Thanet, Tony.
Oh, good evening, Nick.
Tony.
Why don't they bring back somebody like Harold Wilson? Do you remember? He was the Prime Minister that got photographed with the Beatles, didn't they?
You know, I thought you were going to say, why don't they bring back hanging?
Oh, that's Sir Roger Gale. That he was keen on that, wasn't he?
Okay.
Harold Wilson, do you remember how he used to speak?
Do I remember how Harold...
He used to always start off his addressing the public with his same sort of saying.
Right.
So he used to go, my colleagues and I...
Now, wait a minute. Wait. Are you doing an impression?
Yes.
Ah, well. Then I thank you for your service. 0345 6060 973. The only person that's allowed to do a bad impression on this show is me. Tom tweets, at least Johnson will be in familiar company when he takes up his... Okay. There's too many jokes. Come on, people. Fewer jokes, or no jokes would be better. Nikki texts, let's try this one. Evening, Nick. Can't we just let Larry the cat... Can we just ask Larry the cat what really happened? He would have been lurking in the murky halls of Downing Street. He's our only hope for the truth. Cats don't lie, do they? Says Nikki. Yeah, you could ask it how... never mind. Almost straight into Christmas cracker joke territory myself.
Oh, no.
I stopped myself just in time. It was a close thing, though. James texts, do you remember when MPs just got busted for doing rumpy-pumpy with their secretary? The good old days. Yes, I do. Well, they still do, don't they? I mean, Hans, it's the only thing that anybody can remember about him, apart from him pretending to cry on television. And screwing up that attempt by not being able to stop himself from grinning while he was doing it. What an absolute shower. Cumbria, hello, Pete.
Hello, Nick. How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
I was just thinking, going on from one of your earlier callers, talking about the conception of Bodger's new infant.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there was planning, and they missed it by a bit, that they were hoping that the baby might be born on Christmas Day, therefore allowing Bodger to claim that it was the second coming.
There's Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
At this point, Pete, I would not be surprised at anything.
No, because he would have seen all this lot coming, so he needed another distraction. He must be getting desperate.
Yeah. All right, okay, thanks, Pete. 0345 6060 973. So this is how this week went. Just 3 short days ago, it seems like an epoch, Nicola Sturgeon, out of Scotland, told employers that if they had staff working from home at the start of the pandemic, they should let them do so again until the middle of January. That's what Nicola Sturgeon said on Tuesday this week. The SNP leader said that there had been more than a tenfold increase in Omicron over the last week. Oh, my cron, we're all going to die, she said. She didn't say that. She said, to be blunt, if you had staff working from home at the start of the pandemic, please now enable them to do so again. She said, I know it's difficult, but I cannot stress enough how much difference we think this could make in helping stem transmission and avoid the need for even more onerous measures. Onerous. Great word, that. Even better in a Scottish accent. There's onerous and there's onerous. See? Better. She also urged Scots to follow the rules. She said, I am not excluding myself from this, which sounded like a slap at Bodger to me. So the Scottish leader said the good people of Scotland should work from home. And what did the English government say to that? They said... No. They said that on Tuesday. This week. They said no. In response to Nicola Sturgeon extending Scotland's work-from-home guidance until mid-January, Downing Street said that's not our position on Tuesday. The PM's official spokesman said our position remains as set out, with the limited number of restrictions that we have introduced so far, which at the time were no restrictions at all, other than wear a mask when you're on the bus, and that's about it. And then came the laughing Allegra. That video of the dear leader's disseminator-in-chief in that £3 million Trump-style briefing room, and she was preparing to meet the press by having the staff ask her questions that journalists might ask at the real briefing later on. And much hilarity ensued as she was asked about the party, and then they spitballed around ideas as to how to get out of answering that question. Spitballed! And I imagine that came as a surprise to many people, that the dear leader's spokesmodel would practice the answers that the regime would want, rather than just come out and tell the truth. You remember the truth, don't you?
No.
So they have a run-through. And the staff ask her what they think she will be asked, and they concoct replies to get them out of a scrape. And I bet when people saw that, they thought, is that what happens? Rather than, come out and tell the truth. And here's the news. MPs do that too. Whenever a minister's number is up, they get trained to answer questions that in a way that the regime wants. They don't just go on TV and say what happened or what they think. They memorise responses and then they repeat them until their time on that programme is up, and then they can go off and do the next interview. That's why they all sound the same. That's why they keep saying the exact same things over and over again, regardless of what the question is, because they've learnt the responses before they go on TV. And I bet that most people don't actually know that. It's a con job. They are deliberately conning us by rehearsing answers to questions that might show them in a bad light. They don't tell the truth. They tell us what they've been told to say. Liar! Exactly. So the position of Johnson's government was that on Tuesday they were rubbishing the suggestion of working from home, as advised by the Scottish First Minister. And then that video of the guffawing spokesmodel came out, which really put a hole in Bodger's boat. And it was all hands on deck, and a massive distraction was needed. And as we couldn't declare war on Russia in the time available, he did a swift pirouette and decided that actually, you know what, maybe we should all be made to work from home. And then the press was all after that story instead. By the way, would Bodge look like the hippos in Fantasia if he attempted a swift pirouette? I've got a pretty vivid mental image of that. How about you? Next time he raids up the dressing up box for a photo opportunity, we should insist he wears the lace tutu. It's you, Bodge. And the day after number 10 rubbished the idea of working from home, it was magically full on in favour, and that was our new guidance. Perfect distraction bomb. Honestly, you could not make it up. And then Bodger's current wife had a baby. Almost as though that had been planned 9 months ago to take our mind off this catastrophic clown show. And if that doesn't work to stop us talking about the regime's criminality and corruption and the way they are literally laughing at us while we suffer, then don't fret, Bodge, because pretty soon the life raft of Christmas will be along to take the mind off. And if that doesn't work, he'll only have to wait till the Queen dies, and then he'll really get a pass, because the papers will be full of nothing else for at least 2 weeks, and we'll forget all about this. And more people than me say this is a cynical distraction technique, and it might be, but maybe it's a bigger distraction than it first appears. Maybe there's layers of distraction, like the film Inception. Did you see Inception? Did you understand it?
No.
I've seen it twice and I still don't get it. Maybe I should try watching it backwards. So I'll talk about what the thing that people haven't been talking about, which is probably, it's certainly more important than did they or did they not have a party. And it's probably the most important thing that's actually happening at the moment, but no one is talking about it because they have been distracted by the things that the government is trying to distract us from. But they may actually be one step ahead of us, playing three-dimensional chess, they are. Well, we're all stuck playing, Cluedo. They're on a whole different dimension. Because there's something really alarming that's happening that, and at this point, it would not surprise me more than just a little bit if the whole Partygate thing was actually deliberate in order to take our minds off what's actually happening. So I'll get into that in a while. This government is wearing me out. I need a holiday. 0345 6060 973. Hey, by the way, we stick this show up the internet as a podcast. As soon as it's over, I think you'll find that on an internet near you, you can find a podcast called Nick Abbot, The Whole Show. Now, we take the news and the ads out, which means it takes less time to listen to, which means you'll use less electricity, and you won't have to start an OnlyFans site to pay your fuel bill.
Disgusting.
Ask for it by name on an internet near you. Nick Abbot, The Whole Show.
This is LBC with Nick Abbot.
What's he got to be depressed about?
Oh, blimey, dear, where do I even begin? 0345 6060 973. I have got to stop looking at Twitter first thing in the morning because it's just such a terrible way to start the day. I mean, it really is. I wake up full of the joys of spring. Even in the middle of winter. And then looking at Twitter for about, 6 hours before I have my lunch. And it just scrambles my mind. It's like you're, what does Sean Ryder say? You're messing with my melon, man. No, he says, what's the Sean Ryder say? He doesn't know. It's been absolutely no help whatsoever so far today. You're messing with my melon, man. What? Oh, I can't remember. Am I supposed to be able to remember that? Croydon. Oh, here we go again. Hello, Simon.
Yes, hello. This is my mobile now.
Excellent.
I don't know why you have such trouble with my landline. I can't understand it.
Oh, that was a landline, huh?
It was a landline. There seems to be some weird feedback loop between your landline and my landline.
Bizarre.
I know. I rang you on the alphabetical last Christmas. It was exactly the same problem.
Huh.
Anyway.
Well, I shall look forward to that this Christmas.
Yes, well, exactly. Yeah, now, I know you've got a lot of important things to talk about tonight, but I thought I'd just break you away from the Westminster soap opera a minute, a little story that you might have missed.
Go on.
A very important story that is very dear to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
You've been warning for a number of weeks now about a peril that's stalking the human race. I refer to your warnings that are in every street corner in our parks and gardens, that if squirrels and foxes just learned that how weak and feeble human beings were, that we would be finished as a race.
Yes.
And there's a report in today's Guardian, a man attacked by a pack of otters in a Singapore park and said that he thought he was going to die during the ordeal.
Exactly.
Have you read this one?
I did. I saw the injuries. Yes. Awful.
Well, I can't help laughing. But
you see, you laugh just at the very idea that a man could be felled by otters because they're very, very close to the ground. But remember this: any one of us large, wobbly balls of fat would run screaming if it was a squirrel on its own that was attacking us. We wouldn't put up a fight. We have got no idea how to fight animals.
I like the way he says it. He was attacked, bitten 26 times in 10 seconds by a family of otters.
Right.
I mean, a family sounds so cuddly and cute.
No. Not really. Like the Manson family of animals they are.
Yes. Anyway, there you go. I thought you'd like that story, and I have to say you're a great seer. You know, you've foretold the future, Nick. You've warned us.
Yeah.
We have been warned. We haven't listened, and it's happening.
Right. Okay. Thanks for the bad news, Simon. Yeah. As soon as the animal kingdom realise, and I think that day is coming nearer and nearer. As soon as they realise that we will not put up a fight, regardless of what kind of animal it is. I mean, seagulls, for instance. If a seagull wants your chips, it's going to get your chips, and there's nothing that you are going to do about it, right? You're going to scream and you're going to flap your arms about and you're going to run from the scene, and then the seagulls will eat your chips. They've realised that we won't put up a fight. Seagulls. They know that. And so they'll just take anybody's dinner that they fancy. The seaside is not a safe place anymore.
Warning, warning.
But how many foxes are there about? They are so bold now. I mean, I think there's something happened in the last couple of years. Maybe it was when we were all, working from home. It must have been a tremendous change for the animal fraternity. I know that's not the right word, but the animal kingdom. When we, human beings, changed our mode of living. I mean, it didn't go unnoticed because suddenly we were all in our gardens, whereas previously they had a free run of it, and they must have thought, what's going on here? It's not the weekend. It's not a bank holiday, surely, foxes will have said to each other. And it just went on and on and on, and they thought, But rather than become more secretive and hide away, the opposite seems to have happened. Foxes are now so bold, it's just alarming, actually. I mean, it's a wild animal with teeth that's the size of a dog that doesn't like us. I mean, at the moment, they're mostly afraid. Mostly. But that's not going to last for very long. And around where I live, they just don't hide anymore. They're just wandering around the road and sitting in, numbers of them, sitting on people's lawn and just staring at you as you go by. It can't be too long now before they realise, particularly, if we're carrying a bag, that there may be food in there. And all they have to do is show an interest, and we will drop that bag and run away. And at that point, the human race is screwed. It doesn't even have to be as big as a fox. Like I said before, if a squirrel decided to take your lunch, you'd be screaming and flapping at it and running away. Insects next. So just be alarmed. Somebody, I can't remember who it is. I think it's somebody famous, isn't it? Somebody wants to repopulate the country with wolves. Wow, what could possibly go wrong? 0345 6060 973. Let's talk to a person in Hackney. Joe.
Hello, Nick.
Hey, Joe.
Good afternoon. I was just listening to the other caller, which was joking about a baby child born and joking about Jesus Christ. I've been enjoying listening to LBC for a long time. Great program.
Joe, is this a religious call?
No, it's not. It's what I've been realizing lately. All these callers, they call LBC not to give some positive information, but to treat, for example, Boris Johnson as a criminal.
Yeah.
Calling him a liar at all times, without being judged yet.
Yeah.
Without proofs of nothing.
Right.
And before, I used to listen and having some guidance, especially from you guys, from journalists, some guidance.
Guidance as to what to think.
Callers.
Right.
But these days, sometimes it's a bit annoying. I say, why this person is calling not to say something positive,
but just to criticize the dear leader. I feel your pain.
No, it's not that the problem. We can criticize without start straight away calling him a liar and this and treating him.
He is verifiably a person who has lied. That is without question.
You have to understand, he's still our prime minister, probably.
Joe, I think the phrase you're looking for is that he's doing his best. Harry texts, Nick, have you noticed all the Tory scandals that have come out since Matt Hancock left? It was happening all along, only they used Hancock as a scapegoat while they could. Now he's gone. Bodge is exposed. Oh!
Disgusting.
Don't even say it, Harry. Don't even think it. Jane texts, Liz Truss had her name thrown in the hat as Johnson's successor. Talking about getting the politicians you deserve. A clown to a muppet. A clown to a muppet. I bet that last caller will be very, very offended by that. That's not a positive thing to say. It doesn't really matter who's going to follow the Bodge. The party's direction is not going to change. It will stay the same. Who is Liz Truss? Well, let's look at her voting record, shall we? This is from the website They Work For You, which is an excellent facility. Liz Truss consistently voted against raising welfare benefits, at least in line with prices. Remember, in almost all of Europe, we have among the lowest levels of welfare. We tend towards the American method, which is winner gets all, and everybody else is in a position of poverty because of their own inaction and stupidity. That's the overall message that you get from America. We are millionaires, and therefore we deserve everything, and everybody else gets nothing. Rather than a sort of more social model, which leads to happier people in, particularly the Scandinavian countries, and most of the rest of Europe have people that are happier than us, because the state takes taxes and provides for the people. Here, the state takes taxes and they just disappear. What do they do with them? I mean, seriously, what have they done with all of that money? Anyway, Liz Truss consistently voted against raising welfare benefits, at least in line with prices. Consistently voted for reducing central government funding of local government. Almost always voted for increasing the rate of VAT. Consistently voted against paying higher benefits over longer periods for those unable to work due to illness or disability. Because that's what Jesus wants. And voted for raising England's undergraduate tuition fee cap to £9,000 a year. No! That's Liz Truss for you. So if it's her, the direction of the country is not going to change. It will probably just pick up speed. So, don't expect an improvement anytime soon. 0345 6060 973. But not expecting an improvement is, I believe, what people voted for. 0345 6060 973. Look at the time, it's 11:30. The news headlines on LBC with Serena Farrow.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
You're joking.
No joking. Too many texters to count have said the catchphrase was, "You're twisting my melon, man." Yeah, Sean Ryder. I suspect that Sean Ryder's melon was twisted before he got here. I think his melon was pre-twisted for our convenience. Cheem, hello, Sue.
Hello, lovely. I phoned up to thank you, but before I do, I'd just like to say I'm really pleased to see a fox in our area because we've had some blooming great big rats running around.
Ew.
And they keep the rats down, so don't be frightened of the foxes, be frightened of the rats.
Foxes eat rats?
Of course they do. They go into the nest, they sniff out the nest, and they get in there and get them while they're still little. So there you go, a little tasty little nibble.
Well, anyway, I did not know that.
Well, anyway, that's nature's way, isn't it? Foxes clean up the mess. So
the stuff you learn on this show, it's educational, isn't it?
No.
Not really.
Anyway, the reason I phoned up was to thank you for saying something that I tried to say to Nick Ferrari the other morning, is that all this fuss about the party is the old dead cat going back on the top of the desk again. I think they've got a catalogue of misdemeanours that they can trot out, which are slightly less dangerous to their reputation than the actual thing that they're trying to distract us from. I mean, that thing where the Afghanistan, the Kabul thing, where they were, all those people they've left behind to be killed probably in the most horrendous way.
Yes.
And so, this party is a little bit of a distraction, and you find a sacrificial lamb that girl was, and then you're off and running again.
Right. But, I wouldn't be remotely surprised.
No. But the other thing, I know you, this thing you do every year, which is I really look forward to, where you got the countdown to Christmas and all the rest of it.
Yeah, the A to Z of 2021.
Exactly. I'd like to see, this is not homework for you, it's just if anybody fancied doing it, they could, to go work your way backwards from the latest disaster and all the things that you mentioned, that they've shut down the police stations, they've tried to interfere with the judiciary. Somebody needs to make a list, because that list is going to come in very useful when the election comes round, to be able to say, this is what they did then, and then Cameron did this, and that one did that, starting way when Thatcher came in and she put managers into the health service, which was a disruptor, and started the ball rolling to destroy our health service. So everyone that comes into government for the Tories seems to have this agenda. I think it must be in their DNA.
Yeah, you might have that right, yeah.
Yeah.
But that does very much sound like homework, and I'm not doing homework.
No, I know you don't do homework. I'm not. That's why I phrased it very carefully.
Right.
So I wasn't telling you to do it or asking you to do
then.
it. But maybe one of your listeners,
Yeah.
one of the millions of listeners that you have,
Right, they can do homework for me.
They can do homework. Maybe they can all work as a group, form a team,
Yes, if we all pull together as a team. That's right. Okay, excellent work there, Sue. Cheers, my dear. That A to Z, by the way, starts on Christmas Eve, which is very soon. Have you seen how soon Christmas is? Yeah, and you haven't prepared anything, have you? I am already hitting the slide of serenity. Because I do Christmas a whole week before anybody else does. I know you're all freaking out and concentrating on the 25th. But I do I start the big long run of shows on the 24th, so I have my Christmas before that. It'll probably be like Monday or Tuesday of that week. I'll go through the whole thing and pretend it's Christmas Day. It doesn't really matter what day it is. I mean, Jesus wasn't actually born on the 25th of December. It's an old pagan festival. Of course it is. It corresponds to the shortest day. I mean, it's weirdly not on the shortest day. I don't really understand that, but it's around and about. So it doesn't actually matter which day you celebrate it on, as long as you, celebrate it if that's what you want to do. And so I do, and I do it, on like a few days before it actually happens. And so I'm ahead of everybody else. People are still rushing around, pulling their hair out, buying presents and sticking balls on trees and trying to locate a turkey for under £100. And I've done it already. I'm sitting there with a gut the size of a space hopper watching The Sound of Music or whatever else happens to be on TV at the time. I'd just watch the TV if it was off at that point. I'd be so replete. I recommend it. Every year I say the exact same thing, and it just feels so relaxing because there's this constant bubble. Even if you're not really out there, fighting and elbowing your way into shops, there's just this sense of like bubbling panic and fear, and time is speeding up, and you haven't got anything done. And I will, while you're all bringing yourself to a frothing fury, I'll have done it all already. I do recommend it. If you try it, then you can thank me. No, wait. I've changed my mind. You can thank me now.
Thank you.
So the A to Z will start on the 24th. Christmas Eve, 10 p.m. with the letter A. It's a very good place to start. And then we go through, if you haven't played the game before, we go through and construct the definitive list of the year. And people do look forward to it all year long, as do I. It is a lot of fun, and it goes by so quickly. So if you're around between Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, then that's the game that we'll play every night at 10, the A to Z of 2021. So join me if you're at a loose end. I appreciate it. Let's have a call in Surrey. Tony.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Tony.
Yes, I turned the radio on only a few moments ago when you were talking to that guy about attacks from gangs of otters.
Oh, yeah.
And, and it reminded me, actually, there's a place called Ottershaw near where I live.
Yes.
And but I haven't seen any marauding gangs yet of otters. In fact, I haven't seen any otters there, but I'm assured that there used to be. But I was just thinking, there's one thing that the animal kingdom hasn't got, and heaven forbid if they did have, that's the internet.
Oh, I thought you were going to say nuclear weapons, but go ahead.
Well, are you sure that we've got them?
Well, that's a very good point. Yeah, I mean, we spend hundreds of billions of pounds on them, but where is the evidence that we actually have them?
Yeah, because you don't actually need them. You just need the threat of them, really.
That's right. That is absolutely right, yes. You just need to spend about £1 million on pretend bases and a PR campaign to suggest that we got an invisible submarine.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't actually need one.
a never-ending list of variants of the plague.
Yeah.
You know, that would be just as good, I think. But anyway, what it reminded me of was a fox that I saw about 2 or 3 o'clock, or very early in the morning, up in Vauxhall. And it was waiting at the Pelican Crossing to cross the road.
Right.
And it did, you know. So it's obviously learned that it's safer. You know, so
well, they have learned.
Communicate.
They have learned that it's that the road is an unsafe place, because driving home, every single time I drive home, I see at least 6 of them dashing out in front of the car. They know not to spend any time on the road, so they're at least they're that smart, are foxes. But there's just so many of them now. I think there's too many. There's a population explosion of foxes.
Yeah, a cull. Must get my air gun out.
Well, as long as you don't say anything controversial, Tony.
No, right, yeah. Well, I just said I'd get it out. I didn't say I'd do anything.
Well, that's actually true, yeah. That is true, yeah.
Your Honour. Yeah, so do we really have to worry about the animal kingdom?
I think so, yeah, because if you think of the amount of time that has us human beings to invent the iPhone and have and the toaster and
stuff
like that.
Toasters are not so bad.
In all that time, all the animal kingdom has been able to come up with is an ape uses a stick to put in a hole to get an ant out. That's it. That's all they've got.
Yeah.
I mean, crows take a nut up on high and then they drop it on the ground and it breaks, and that's pretty much all they've got. We meanwhile, human beings have gone from Stone Age troglodytes to this glorious visage that you see today.
Being able to shout over huge distances to somebody else. Right. Amazing, absolutely amazing. But what will we do? What will we have done, rather, in, say, another 100,000 years' time? In fact, I was reading a book recently by an American scientist whose name escapes me now, but he was wondering what would be left of the human race in 1,000,000 years' time. And,
why? What was he doing that for? What a pointless exercise.
Well, it was humorous, because he reckoned all that will be left is that to remember us will be a layer of plastic all over the world,
right,
where we've converted oil into plastic.
Yes,
that's probably right.
That does sound about right. Yeah. We're the Plasticine era.
Yeah. Are you worried about the future of the human race, then, Nick? Or do you see a wonderful future where artificial intelligence and robots will do everything for us? And all we'll have to do is wake up in the morning and think, what can I do today?
Well, I do think that robots will do for us.
Correct.
Not do for us, they'll do for us. As soon as they are self-aware,
affirmative,
then it's curtains for us lot. Thanks a lot, Tony. 0345 6060 973. I do want to talk about what I suspect is there's something happening that people aren't really paying attention to. Not really, because there's too much other ephemeral stuff to concentrate on. The parties and the wallpaper and just the general lying and mendacity, all of that. If they had constructed everything that we've been obsessed about over the past week particularly to cover up what it is, this bigger thing that's going on, then it will probably be the greatest work of genius in political history. I just don't think they're that smart. They may actually be that lucky, but certainly not that smart. So I do want to talk about that because it's a little bit serious, it's a little bit alarming, but I'll try and squeeze it in this show. But just as long as we don't have to continue dealing with the issues, just as long as I don't have to keep answering these people's calls. How do they get my number?
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
Hull, Charles.
Oh, hi, Nick. I hope you're well in these strange times.
Yes, thanks.
By the way, Twisting My Melon Man, it's actually Steve McQueen in a documentary of him.
No.
Really? Yeah. Can you imagine? I'm watching it and suddenly it just comes right out.
What, the actual Steve McQueen, the actor?
Absolutely.
Twisting My Melon?
Yeah.
Well, I'll go to the foot of our stairs.
Absolutely. What I really wanted to say was, am I the only one? You know when PMQs happened at midday, and then the distraction bomb, which is definitely one of your best sayings and stuff, the distraction bomb happened at 6:00 p.m. But hang on a minute. Now, they got Steve Whitty and another person with the Prime Minister. Now, hang on a minute. Aren't they being politicised and used for Boris Johnson's ends?
Well, that might be one reading of it, yes.
There you go. There you go.
Right. OK, there you go. Thanks, Charles. 0345 6060 973. There we go. Trev texts, Nick, surely with Downing Street being a gated street, strictly controlled by security and the police, there must be an exact record of who entered and exited Downing Street and at what precise times. There is your proof as to who was and was not there and exactly when right there. You surely don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to check that out. The police have investigated all of the available evidence and have not found any available evidence. Now, move along. Jim texts, according to Michael Gove, he said the Prime Minister has led with clarity and confidence. I just thought you could do with a laugh. It certainly made me chuckle, says Jim. Clarity and confidence, said Michael Gove. Yeah. Norwich, Ashton.
Hi, Nick.
Ashton.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
I've been waiting ages to get through to you. You know that?
No, waiting ages?
Stop whining.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I'm not going to whine though, but I'm so glad to hear your voice.
Thanks.
I wanted to talk about the current affairs that's going on with in the prison system.
The current affairs that's going on in the prison system?
Yeah, because basically what's happening is people are being neglected in there and they're not being rehabilitated back into society properly.
Exactly.
And it gets on my nerves because a lot of people, they end up coming back out and not being rehabilitated properly and end up reoffending and going back to square one.
Recidivism. We have a terrible record of it in this country.
I know. And all the taxes that get paid in the prison system is unbelievable.
They might as well throw that money away.
Exactly. Or give it to the prisoners to rehabilitate themselves.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, each sentence should come with a cash reward. Yeah, we should follow the example set by places like Norway, which have a very, very low recidivism rate because they treat prisoners like human beings. We treat prisoners like caged animals, with the result that they are unreformed when they leave and go and commit probably the exact same crime that got them put inside in the first place. If you walk into an ice cream store and lick an ice cream during the course of a riot, then you will go to prison. If you are a member of Her Majesty's government and you conspire to disappear £57 billion for a phone app that doesn't work, then you will not go to prison. You will go to the House of Lords. Pah! Thanks, Ashton. Phil texts, Schrodinger's party, obviously. It happened and it didn't happen at the same time. It was a party and it wasn't a party. Well, I don't know anything about Schrodinger, rather, but he certainly was one cool cat. Rory says, can you make Christmas parties your safe topic? By the way, do you do a humorous podcast by any chance? Well, I'm glad you asked. I do a humorous podcast with Carol McGiffin. Ain't that right, Carol?
Yeah.
Carol McGiffin and I, the delightful Carol McGiffin and I, do a podcast called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which Carol McGiffin and I try to solve people's problems while not laughing too much. I have to say, it's the most fun I have all week. We laugh more in that 1 hour of talking to each other than at any other point during the week. It is we have a hoot doing it, and we're almost up to 100 episodes. 100, Carol. And I think we're going to take a short break over Christmas. There's going to be 2 more till Christmas, and then it'll be like a couple of weeks break during the Christmas period. And then we'll come back with, I think, our 99th and then our 100th episode. So if you are in want of a laugh, and aren't we all, then I can recommend it. It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol. Now, if you want us to have a bash at your issue, then you're going to have to tell us what it is, because we're not mind readers. The email address is nickandcarol@global.com. That's NICKANDCAROL @global.com. And prepare for a mild amount of satisfaction. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol?
Oh, right, yeah.
Let's have a call in Finchley. Steve.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Right. The Queen's birthday is on the 21st of April. Right. You know that or not?
I was not aware of it, but I will certainly put it in my diary so as I don't forget to buy her something.
Diary, right? Put that in your diary, but then they had the Trooping of the Colour in May.
Trooping of the Colour in May, yes.
Right? So you're on about Jesus, right, about Christmas Day, and about Jesus, about Boris Johnson, right? So what you're doing, you're basically...
Now, hang on a minute. Trooping of the Colour... Wait a minute, I'm just trying to, get the thread of it. So, right, Queen's birthday... Wait a minute. Queen's birthday... Don't get... I'm finding it hard to keep up. Don't get ahead of me. I'm just trying to establish where we are. So, we've gone through a Queen's birthday.
21st of April.
21st of April. That's one of her birthdays. There's another one. I can't remember when that is.
They do the Trooping of the Colour in May the 24th.
Trooping of the Colour on May the 24th, yes. And then we went to Jesus. How did you get to Jesus from Trooping of the Colour?
Now, this is right. Now, you're on about Jesus blaspheming about Boris Johnson's daughter. He should have been born on Jesus, right? You wouldn't dare to say that over the radio about a Muslim or a Jew, would you?
I blasphemed about Jesus' birthday being something to do with Boris's child? And that has what to do with Trooping the Colour?
No, I'll give you an instance. You said it yourself, Jesus was not born on the 25th of December. We know that, right?
Right.
But you're blaspheming. You wouldn't say that to a Muslim about...
How is it blaspheming?
But it is blaspheming.
Well, what does that mean? What does blaspheming mean to you?
You know what blaspheming means. You're a sensible person.
Steve, you tell me what you think it means.
Well, I'll tell you what it means. Blaspheming is you're saying the wrong things.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. Get me a dictionary. I'm going to have to make some corrections. I'm saying the wrong things about Trooping of the Colour, or the Queen's birthday, or Boris Johnson's baby. God, you're all over the shop. But good effort. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. The only thing that bloke forgot to say was that I should leave Boris Johnson alone because he's doing his best. Kerry says, does anybody know why Boris looks messier than usual? Is it possible that Carrie purposely cuts his hair that way so he can't cheat on her? Yeah, best of luck with that, Carrie. Paul says, what's next? Bodger's claims of not attending these parties were disproved by leaked evidence of huge photocopied buttocks.
Disgusting.
Oh, please. That's an awful thought. Monica says, brilliant. You timed your advert break so I could listen to my favourite carol on Classic FM. Do you ever have to keep banging on the ceiling with a broom handle to tell them to keep it down while you're doing your show? Yes, Monica, those hooligans at Classic FM, they don't half turn it up loud sometimes. And if I wasn't so afraid of them, I'd go down there and give them a piece of my mind. I love Classic FM at this time of year. It's so Christmassy. It really is. I mean, it's relaxing and Christmassy. I love it. I don't care who knows it. Ricky tweets, do you think Bodger has a Pickford's removals uniform in his dressing up box? Because I'm hoping he'll be able to put it to use within the next few weeks. Yeah, I bet those uniforms don't come in his size either. And Paul says, Bodge has the ideal excuse to resign. He needs to spend more time with his larger family. Well, he needs to spend more time trying to remember what his kids' names are. Or who they are. And where they are. He's an excellent parent. Excellent, excellent. Jackie says, for heaven's sake, Nick, all big organisations have a press, office or public relations team that train their staff what to say, as you well know. Yeah, I know that. But I bet it came as something of a surprise to the general population that the spokesmodel for Number 10 doesn't just arrive before journalists in order to tell the truth. They arrive before journalists to repeat the answer that they practiced beforehand to cover up the truth. I bet that came as a surprise. Ditto, all MPs who go on TV, you know, they do the rounds, TV and radio, and they all sound the same. And you can see the same politician repeat, regardless of what the question happens to be, they'll just repeat the same thing over and over and over again. They'll do it on a BBC, then they'll repeat the same thing on ITV, and then they'll repeat the same thing here, and then they'll repeat the same thing elsewhere. Like automata.
Affirmative.
Like robots.
Correct.
It's because they've been schooled to just repeat this stuff parrot fashion. Painful. I know that, but I bet the general public find that a little bit surprised. A little bit surprising. Gordon says, Margaret Thatcher was the last PM who said what she really thought. It might have been deranged, but the thoughts were her own. No one told her what to say. It may have been bad, but you knew where she stood. And you knew where you stood with her. That's a good point. Yeah. As opposed to these disseminating fools. Liar! Just can't help themselves. They lie and they lie and they lie and they lie and they lie. And what is it that they're covering up? Well, it may be more alarming than you think. I mean, more people than me say that this is a distraction thing. That's we're going to arrest middle-class drug takers. Yeah, sure they are. That's right. They're going to ruin the lives of the people that would traditionally vote for them. Yeah, that's right. They're going to revivify the war on drugs because, doing the same thing that hasn't worked for 50 years will work. They know it won't. They just wanted to talk about something else. They'll just throw anything stupid out there that we can, or that they hope that we will set on like rabid dogs and forget what is actually going on. Maybe there's a bigger distraction than all of this. Maybe there's layers of distraction, like I said before, like that film Inception. Just think, what would Donald Trump do? If he was receiving a lot of grief from protesters, what would Donald Trump do? He'd ban protesting. And that's what they appear to be doing. Or rather, they're going to give themselves the ability to ban any protests they don't like. You'll be able to protest that politicians are underpaid. I mean, they'll leave you right alone if you want to hold up a placard to the effect that politicians aren't paid enough. But criticise the regime and it's jail time for you, sunshine. Because all the while this has been going on and on and on, the Partygate and the Wallpapergate and all of this superficial nonsense. There's a little thing called the Police, Crime, Sentencing and Courts Bill, which is an all-out assault on free speech and the ability to protest this government's actions. And you wouldn't be surprised if you read that about some old Russian satellite state or Saudi Arabia, someplace like that. But not in jolly old fair play Britain. And as the bill edges through the House of Lords, this government has quietly tabled a raft of new oppressive powers to stifle dissent further. But we're not paying attention because we're obsessed with who did or did not go to a party. It's gone under the radar because of Partygate and the PPE racket and the collapse of the NHS and the constant lying and the Brexit woes and pretty much everything else that this government is responsible for. It doesn't matter how they screw up. As long as they can ram through this police crime bill, they'll be in power forever. I mean, if you concentrated really hard, you might even convince yourself that the whole lot of the cascading crises that this lot have engineered has been to pummel us with scandal till we can't take it anymore and we switch off. And then they can do what they want because we've given up. Or, what would Donald Trump do? So, among the things that the government has quietly slipped into the crime bill while we were looking the other way include creating new serious disruption prevention orders or protest banning orders, which can be imposed on people if they have previously been convicted of what the amendment calls a protest-related offence, or even if they've just been to 2 protests in the last 5 years, in which they carried out activities that could have caused serious disruption. The government just this week proposed an expansive catch-all definition of serious disruption, which can be redefined in the future by the Home Secretary of the day. But it's okay in the short term, because we have the kindness and consideration of the current Home Secretary, Priti Patel, to protect us. Protest banning orders. They can require people to keep police up to date on their current residence. They can include restrictions on who people meet, where they go, and when, and their use of the internet. And breaching these conditions could lead to a 51-week jail sentence, an unlimited fine, or both, for being someone who once went to a protest. Wow. I mean, isn't this bigger news than who did or did not go to a party? They also create new suspicion-based and suspicionless protest-specific stop-and-search powers, which criminalise people for carrying items related to protests. No placards? Wrong. One amendment raises the sentence for obstructing a police officer in the context of these new protest-specific, suspicionless stop-and-search powers. Penalty? 51 weeks in prison. That's the magic word, 51 weeks. Not a year, 51 weeks. Then there's new offences of locking on, a technique used by protesters to make it difficult to remove them from their place of protest. 51-week prison sentence. There's that number again. Or a fine, or both. You also get the same thing if you are equipped to lock on. I've got a padlock in my car. I use it at the gym. Will that get me in prison?
Yes.
They don't seem fair. And the offences, of course, are extremely vague and threaten to criminalise not only people who engage in lock-on protests, but a wide range of other acts. I would imagine not even allowed to hold hands. And, of course, it would have outlawed the suffragettes' tactics. You remember the suffragettes, don't you? And just last week, the government added another offence, interfering with nationally significant infrastructure. 12-month jail sentence, or a fine, or both. And what's a nationally significant infrastructure when it's at home? Anything the Home Secretary wants it to be. And this is framed as a response to the Insulate Britain people. But apparently they were talking about this ages ago, long before the group first waddled onto the M25. And it ain't just me that's alarmed. Actual police persons are. Of course, they're ex-police persons, but now they're able to, speak their mind. Mike Barton used to be Chief Constable of Durham. Owen West, a former public order police chief in West Yorkshire, and Lord Paddock, a former deputy assistant commissioner in the Met Police, warned of the pitfalls of this bill in a letter to Priti Patel. They wrote, "We believe that this bill has dangerous and harmful implications for the ability of police officers to enforce the law for the health of our democracy. We are concerned that the police are being instrumentalised for political purposes." And 3 United Nations special rapporteurs have condemned the bill. Parliament's Joint Committee on Human Rights said its proposals are oppressive and wrong. Polling has showed 2/3 of the public are concerned about threats to protest. And add to that the proposal that the government can retrospectively throw out any court judgments it doesn't like, which is the biggest get-out-of-jail-free card in history, and the proposal that the government can take your identification documents away from you if they catch you with something they don't like, and the one about you needing that ID to cast a vote in an election, and this country is beginning to resemble a dictatorship police state. And we've sleepwalked into it because COVID distracts us, and Brexit distracts us, and his hair, and his manner, and his whole paw act distracts us. And after all, he's just that funny bloke off the telly. We can trust him, can't we? I mean, he's just doing his best, isn't he? What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
I am not one of your fans!
And neither is this texter. A bloke called David says, "I'm in a cab which has LBC on, and you've just said that the government collects tax and we have no idea where it goes. I literally work for HMRC. There's a person who works for HMRC. I literally work for HMRC, and all of that info is published constantly. It's also massively unfair and disparaging to all of the work that HMRC staff do to secure public services. A lazy opinion spouted lazily." Well, that teaches me. OK, Mr. HMRC, where did the £57 billion on a phone app that doesn't work go? Let's just start there, shall we? Where's that all gone? How can you spend that much money on anything that doesn't work? Never mind about a blooming phone app. I mean, the South Koreans had one up and running, a test and trace app, in about 2 days, and they spent threepence halfpenny on it. We've spent £57 billion, or £46 billion, or £32 billion. It doesn't really matter what number it is. When you get in the billions, we're off the scale. We spent billions and billions and billions of pounds on something that doesn't work. So where's that gone? Where did it go? Who's got that money? Who has that money? I'd love to know. For a contract tasting app.
Contact tasting, tracing. Contact tracing.
Oh, give it up, Bodge. You're never going to get it. Lois texts, "I wanted to formally apologise for my utter stupidity. I was one of those poor Boris, he's doing his best type people. I used to spend my weekends furiously listening to your point of view, but this week I've woken up. Boris is a babbling idiot. And I cannot believe I have been so blind to his nonsense. I totally agree with everything you are saying. This country is doomed. You've doomed this country, Bodge. What do you say for yourself?"
I can't comment on that.
Blah, 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 blah. Mark tweets, "A lot of parents keep the front page of a newspaper to show what was going on in the world when they were born. I wonder if Boris and Carrie did the same." That's not the first time I've heard that this week, Mark. And Shah Chaff texts, "Have you seen the 1997 movie Wag the Dog? It's a great movie for Christmas. Alternatively, you can watch the news." Same script. Yeah. Wasn't that the one where they started a war or in order to distract us? Forthcoming attractions. A war. Who's it going to be? Place your bets. Yeah, it is a good film. Wag the Dog. Yeah, isn't that Robert De Niro? Or Al Pacino? Robert De Niro? Or Al Pacino? It's Al or Rob. One of the two. I call them Al or Rob. and they say to me, "Who are you?" Eastbourne. Hello, Ange.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Ange.
Hi.
What's up, Ange?
There has to be a way out. It's like you just seem to be thinking when you just think you've hit this certain point.
Yeah, well, rock bottom.
Yeah.
And you realise that there's another chasm opening up ahead of you. Yeah.
I know. And it's sort of the Trump reign, you know, sort of the despair of seeing what was happening there.
Yes, correct. It was exhausting, thinking this is never going to stop. Yeah, and then it did.
It was, but I just, at that point, thought that we were just a bit cleverer over here. And I looked at it thinking, gosh, we could never get to that depth.
No. I mean, we don't have the sort of number of dinglings that they got over there. Not here.
But then it happened here,
Mm-hmm.
and it just keeps going on and on. And then when they go in last time, I'm thinking, well, there's at least another 10 years because there's no opposition going on.
I'm so over hearing that. The left wing are the stupidest people in the world. They will actively encourage another right-wing government because the left-wing alternative is not perfect.
I know, but almost all the parties that aren't the Tory party are that way, tend to be more left and independent people and, you know, so it's never going to work anyway because our political system is defunct.
Yes.
It's, let's take our democracy around the world and give everybody this great system that doesn't even work for us.
We need proportional representation. We need to be run by a coalition, a rainbow coalition, instead of a one-party dictatorship.
Yeah, you took words out of my mouth. I was going to say we need PR, and all the other parties really need to agree with each other to campaign on that basis.
Right, but they won't. But they won't because they're stupid morons. The left wing will engineer their own downfall so that the right wing can step nimbly over them and spend another 5, 10, 15, 20 years in power.
Well, in that case, we're going to do what that earlier caller did when he said, what did he say? Oh, never mind. It was like self-implode. It was a self-implode sort of thing. That's what we're going to do. Because even the Labour can't have a majority anymore because they always use...
Oh. Ange, we just lost you. Don't go. Mobile phones are rubbish. Verifiably so. Awful. Have they made one that you can make a phone call on yet?
No.
No wonder the kids are averse to making phone calls. They're smarter than we are. They know that a mobile phone's only good for typing. I know I've said this before, but if you had predicted 20 years ago that teenagers' number one source of amusement would be typing, people would have thought you were out of your mind. And here we are. Obsessed with it they are. Felicity texts, at Yorkshire Wildlife Park, we once heard a woman describe otters as lions of the sea. Me and my husband could not stop laughing. Surely lions of the sea are sea lions. Well, that's a good point, Felicity. Yes. Paul tweets, the caller that said he's going to keep voting for them, the Tories, until they fix the mess they've created, is what's going to happen with Brexit. Brexiters will keep voting Conservative till the sunny uplands are delivered, which they never will be. Masterstroke by the cons, says Paul. No, that just keeps getting worse and worse. But there's so much else to distract us that people have forgotten about it. Forgotten about the slowly deflating balloon that is the economy of this country. Our horizons have shrunk, but everybody's obsessed with having a party, and so we're off on that one now. I wonder what the next distraction is going to be. They tried drugs, the war on drugs. We're going to do that again. I bet they thought that was going to go over a bomb. They thought, people are going to love this. They're going to rip this apart. And they're going to tell us that, it hasn't worked before, so it won't work again. And then the hang 'em and flog 'em brigade will get stuck into it. And, if anybody gets caught taking drugs, we want to kill them. We'll kill them first, and then we'll revivify them, and then we'll kill them again. That lot. They thought that we'd be fighting each other over this all week long. We heard it, and we looked it over and dropped it on the floor after about 2 seconds, and then concentrated on beating the Tory party up again. So that distraction didn't work. His baby as a distraction didn't work, although that would be a rare work of genius if it was actually planned. So I don't believe that it was planned. It was coincidental. But you'd think that that would have given him, a little bit of a leeway. Apparently not. People have had it up to their eyeballs with you, Bodge. They just can't take it anymore. So I wonder what the next distraction bomb is going to be. An actual literal bomb. We're going to have to start bombing, I don't know, Belgium? Let's bomb Luxembourg. We'll start small and then we'll, get bigger. Luxembourg and Switzerland first. Who's with me? Hands in the air. Anita says, HIV prevalence in South Africa is 15 to 19%. Their population is more immune compromised than the UK, so infection rates for double-jabbed or people who had COVID will be higher. However, data from South Africa shows Omicron symptoms are headaches and sore throats and lethargy. So it's a good variant, says Anita. Now, I don't know anything about anything, which does not prevent me from being an expert on virology. Everybody is. Every single person in this country is an epidemiologist now. We all get A's. And it does occur to me that one of the things I've heard about viruses is that they eventually become more widespread and weaker. I mean, it's in the virus's interest not to kill its host. Not that I think viruses really think this stuff through. It's just how nature works. And so this might be it. Who knows? Omicron might not be the worst of it. It might be the best of it. I mean, if it just goes through us and all it does is give us a slight runny cold and becomes the dominant variant and to the destruction of all other variants, then that'd be great, wouldn't it? It might not be bad news. It might be great news. Might be the end of this. Of course, the flip side of that is, who knows? Next week, it might be the worst of it. You just don't know. All we have is the experts at number 10 to lead us through this pandemic.
Oh, no.
We're doomed. Nigel says, Boris is done. He's lied all his adult life. Just look at his gutter press journalism. Here's a prediction. When Bodger gets the boot, he'll throw his toys out of the pram and resign as an MP too. As expected, by the time of the next general election, all the prominent figures that wanted Brexit will have disappeared. If Brexit was working, the ERG in the Tory party would be rubbing our noses in it. Yeah, their silence is deafening. That's right. As you like statistics, shockingly, Boris is now the longest-serving PM with an outright majority this century. I bet his replacement won't be calling a snap general election. No, I bet you they won't. I bet you she won't. 0345 6060 973, text 84850, email nick@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. I should remind you that I do 3 podcasts. There's this show, and the Saturday show. They get stripped of the news and the ads, and they get put out as a podcast called Nick Abbot The Whole Show. There's the one I do with Carol McGiffin.
Oh, right, yeah.
Called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? And there's also the Nick Abbot Habit, which are clips of old shows. I just take the funny bits, stick them all in a half-hour podcast. It comes out on Monday. So if you wish to be amused, and the period that I'm taking clips of now are just moments after we left the European Union. You know, bigger, bunger Bob for Big Ben's bong. All that nonsense. And we were hearing, but not actually experiencing, this invisible menace from China. We were hearing about it, but hadn't actually experienced it yet. And boy, how we joked. If only we knew. It's called the Nick Abbot Habit. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. Or you could just do an internet search on my name, Nick Abbot, and podcasts, and they will all become apparent as though by magic. It's 12:30. The news headlines on LBC with Serena Farrow.
Nick Abbott on LBC.
Hang about, Nick. Listen. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
Des emails, Nick, Boris Johnson, spelt wrong. Boris Johnston came to power when we have a worldwide pandemic. What a thing to have to deal with as Premier. Those who criticise Boris should realise it takes no ability to criticise. That's why so many people do it. Leave him alone. He's doing his best. Now, nice try there, Des, but I think there's sarcasm written all the way through there, like words through Brighton Rock. On the other hand, this one, I believe. Tim emails, are you going to give up on this Boris bashing? See, aggression already. That's the part that makes me believe that he actually believes it. Wild flailing around of the limbs in fury. Are you going to give up on this Boris bashing? Do you really think Keir Starmer could do better? Oh, see, the whatabouts. Says, you lost the referendum, get over it, says Tim. Congratulations, Tim. I really didn't think that any Bodger supporters would stick their head over the parapet, because they have been apparent in their absence. Noticeable by their absence, more accurately. God, there used to be so many of them, and now they're all silent, curiously silent. Tim, I believe you're one of those people that voted for Boris Johnson, is finding it increasingly difficult to justify that decision, and instead of admitting that you've been had, which would mean loss of face, you are in fact digging your heels in ever harder and insisting that you were right all along. How's that going for you?
Oh, fabulous.
Thought so. Let's have Vancouver. Hello, Nick.
Oh, hi there.
Hello there.
Yes, I'm 60-odd years old. And throughout
60-odd years old.
Yeah, and it's been an odd 60 years as well, I have to say.
Yes.
But throughout my whole life, German chancellors have been these titans of international spacecraft that have bestrode the world stage, being admired for guiding Germany through some of the most sort of difficult times any country could imagine. The Cold War, the reunification. They had Willy Brandt when I was a little kid, and then when I was a teenager it was Helmut Kohl that reunited the country. And Angela Merkel came along and is sort of widely accepted as one of the great politicians of our time. And throughout that whole time, Britain has just had clowns in charge. Even the ones I liked, like Harold Wilson, was still a clown, put on a funny accent in order to be elected. Thatcher put on a funny accent. Boris puts on a funny accent. That's all we vote for, is a funny accent.
Yes.
And I don't get it.
No, I don't.
I just don't.
There is...
surely we deserve one good one once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime, yeah. Once in a while would be nice. I mean, I think Tony Blair, of course, his copybook has been blotted by the small matter of taking us into a war that he shouldn't oughta. But other than that, not entirely bad, surely. David Cameron, well, I don't know about David Cameron. I don't believe that we're actually missing you, Dave.
I think this is nonsense.
But we know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed where they keep the tools.
But I wouldn't disagree that Tony Blair wasn't dreadful. But there's nothing in comparison with Angela Merkel, for instance, in terms of international standing, or if you looked at sort of the management of the country. And the one that people still hold up as our sort of best prime minister in modern time is Margaret Thatcher. And yet almost everything that is wrong with the UK right now is a direct consequence of the things that she did.
Yes.
Right?
As in selling off all the family silver for peanuts. Yeah.
Yes. And she completely wasted North Sea oil, so that there's no money left from that. Whereas Norway, a relatively small country, kept all their money and is doing great out of it. She gave away the housing stock. I mean, who gives away houses for free? She did.
Gave away our fuel, our precious fuel that we squirt up the house in order to run things.
Everything.
Our water. They actually sold our water. I mean, what kind of an insane country does that?
And yet she is the Prime Minister that people go, Thatcher was a great Prime Minister.
Yeah.
No, she wasn't. She was terrible.
Abysmal. Well, I don't think everybody thinks that. I think a small minority of people think that. Everybody I knew at university when we were suffering through her leadership couldn't pronounce her name any other way than Thatcher. It was always spat out. Exactly. It was always spat out with furious anger.
I left for Canada on the second time around. I thought there is no hope for a country that votes for this woman twice.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of leaving myself. Pick me up at the airport. All right. Thanks a lot, Nick. 0345 6060 973. Some people sending alarming details about otters. Where are they? Well, I'll go through them in order. Bernadette emails, we seem to be moving towards a dictatorship with Johnson and co. actually above the law. The problem is if Johnson goes, they'll fish another one out of the primordial slime. Yeah, it's exactly right. When Johnson goes, it'll just be another one. The direction will remain the same. It will just not look quite so catastrophic and calamitous and clown-like. In fact, it might be worse because the direction in which we are going may actually speed up with somebody more competent in charge. So it might not be better, it might actually get worse. Sue emails, my curiosity about the party at number 10 is killing me. I mean, what did everyone get in the Secret Santa? Yes! I want to know that too. I bet there were some marital aids.
Disgusting.
I bet there was some sort of gift that they wouldn't actually want to become publicly known. I bet it was awful. Curious minds are keen to find out. John emails, okay, here's an otter one. Terry Nutkins lost his finger to an otter. They're not to be underestimated. And I didn't know who Terry Nutkins was, so I had to look him up. He used to do that one. What's that? Animal something. It was Animal Magic. It used to be that portly bloke who did all the voices for the animals, whose name I can't remember. That's shocking. I can't remember that. I bet the internet knows. One moment, please. Animal Magic. Opening a new tab. Yes, please. Not opening. Not opening. Opening a new tab. Still not opening. I'll try it one more time. Read article. Animal Magic. Johnny Morris is the right answer. Anyway, Terry Nutkins lost a finger to an otter. That's worse than that. I think he lost parts of two fingers. I mean, if you look at the tail of it on the World Wide Wait, it's well, you'll never think of otters in the same way again. At the age of 15, Nutkins lost part of two fingers to an otter named Edal. Evil, more like. In an episode of the BBC programme Deadly 60, Nutkins stated that the otter became aggressive in response to the scent on a jumper that he had been given by a woman that this otter had already attacked and bitten. The otter tore at Nutkins' boot, then attacked his right hand as he reached down, severing the end of his middle finger. As he attempted to control the otter with his other hand, the otter bit his other middle finger and twisted away, severing the end of that finger. God. Blimey. That bloke who was in the news having been attacked by otters is lucky to be alive. John emails, did you hear they're making a new Christmas favourite film about a bungling Prime Minister who everyone dislikes, so he gets replaced at Christmas? It starts off really sad, but ends up being happy, so everyone cheers up. It's called Gove, actually. Oh, God. More listeners with material.
Oh, no.
See, it could actually get worse. Because the government will still be moving in the same direction, but this time it won't be funny. Let's have Camden. Hello, Claire.
Hi.
Claire.
Hi, Nick. You said that the current government have decided to wage a war on drugs.
That's what they're pretending. They're going to wage a war on drugs like they've been doing for the last 50 years without success, because, that'll work.
Yeah, but this one might be successful because they have found traces of drugs in all the toilets in the Parliament.
In the Palace of Westminster.
Want to score some pot?
Yeah.
So they must be seriously hard at work to destroy them, literally, physically.
Right. I bet the stories of all of that drug taking really gets up their nose.
But the thing is that they are serious, and they want to just destroy them, so that there are no more drugs left after them.
Right. Well, they want to secure their stash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder who is actually responsible for all that cocaine floating around the Palace of Westminster. It can't be any MPs, surely. Yeah, it's probably the cleaner.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
Maybe anybody who is not them.
Yeah, anybody who is not them. Exactly right. It weren't me, mister. I ain't done nothing. Sure. All right. Thanks a lot, Claire.
And may I say something else?
Of course.
About bombing.
About who?
Bombing.
Bombing?
Bombing.
Spell it?
B-O-M-B.
Yes.
Spell
the rest of it. B-O-M-B?
I-N-G.
Yes.
You said that they could start bombing something small.
Yeah. Luxembourg,
and how?
Why not?
It's not the smallest thing in the world.
Well, no, but I mean, let's start relatively small, and then we can, pick bigger targets. Let's just get our aim in first, and Luxembourg is small enough. You probably won't miss it, even if your aim is slightly off. I mean, it's not tiny. I don't know. Maybe we should start really, really small. How about Crete? Let's bomb Crete.
How about bombing something small in volume but enormous in value, like the offshore accounts?
Oh, offshore accounts. Yeah, one of those buildings with the British flag on top that is apparently where hundreds of thousands of companies have their headquarters, but nobody actually ever goes there. One of those buildings, yeah.
Yeah, mysterious.
Mm. All right. Well, thanks for the tip there, Claire. We're going to change the coordinates. It's going to be something like that. I mean, he's going to have to start a war because he's tried everything else. This week was going to be about law and order. Oh, they're going to crack down on miscreants. Yeah, except that didn't work because the biggest miscreants are the ones who are saying that they're going to crack down on the miscreants. I mean, billions and billions and billions of pounds have gone missing. If a team of thieves had managed to steal billions of pounds, we'd know about it. Never in history has that ever been attempted or tried, and certainly not been successful. Until now. So that fell flat on its face. And then the war on drugs thing, nobody paid attention to that because it's just too stupid. I mean, nobody's stupid enough really to believe that that's going to be a success. So that was a failure. I mean, that was just a back of the fag packet effort, wasn't it? They didn't even put any effort into it. They just wheeled Bodge out, put him up in a silly costume that didn't come in his size, and had him take photographs for the press. And they thought, oh, the job done. Now they'll be talking about that, and not for a single second. So I think that they're going to have to bring out the big guns. Literally. It's going to be a war with... Well, Russia's too big, so we'll pick somewhere small. Somewhere small. Isle of Man. Incoming. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late!
On the subject of otters, Jason texts, otters smash shellfish with stones while floating on their backs. They are very smart, says Jason. Well, not very smart, not really. I mean, is that all they've got? I mean, we've got vacuum cleaners that run themselves, like robots. Robot vacuum cleaners.
Affirmative.
And that's all they've got? They smash shellfish with stones, otters? I mean, they've been around for as long as we have. How come we're so smart? Don't get too keen on otters, Jason. Cuddle one of those and you'll never play the piano again. Hatfield. Hello, Kevin.
Hello. How are you, Nick? Are you good?
Yeah, good, thanks.
I'd just like to... I've been listening to you for a long time over the years, and some things never change, mostly the callers.
Yes.
Basically, yeah, as a 38-year-old man, I've never known a government anywhere in the world ever that's done a good job any time that everyone's happy with, yeah? So everyone's going to be... Some point, someone's going to be upset or... You know what I mean?
Mm.
Let's get one thing straight. This country is not being run properly. You are right. We should just have a cross-party section of politicians, the best people to do the job.
A rainbow coalition, yes, instead of one dictatorship to the next.
Well, I don't know about dictatorships because I like Gaddafi and Saddam and Iran, Saudi Arabia, they're dictatorships. You know, like we've got a good life here. We've got a nice environment to live in. It might be hard, the bills might be high, and we work for this and that, but in the world, we live good compared to most other people. Right, so
yeah, but we're not. I agree. But we're not comparing ourselves to most other people in the world. We're comparing ourselves to Germany and France.
Apparently, we brought democracy to the world.
Well, we brought democracy to the world, and we barged into other people's countries, took all their best stuff, shot anybody that didn't like it, and then congratulated ourselves by telling them how to make tea.
So is that so? I don't know. Is that like history just in about 4 seconds?
Yes,
because. You know, that's, you know what I mean? I weren't then.
That's how I like my history lessons. Brief.
Do you know what? I will say this. In this country, at school, we learned that England and America won World War II. And as I've got older, I learned that Russia really won it.
Russia and the weather won World War II.
And the weather, and the weather. A lot of factors, the Americans and everyone else involved. But, you know, you never get taught properly. Yeah, because then if you actually got taught properly in this world, yeah, all you'd have is questions. You wouldn't have answers.
Well,
because you'd still be searching for the real.
Don't forget, there are no stupid questions, only stupid people.
And at the end of the day, is Maggie Thatcher any worse than Tony Blair?
Yes.
Is what Maggie Thatcher is worse than what Tony Blair was?
Yes.
Because as a teenager, when I went on the march for the Iraq War, that was illegal, that was lied about with Dr. David Kelly, and we invaded the country we had no right going to.
Right.
In fact, they didn't even have no involvement in 9/11. It was all the Saudis.
Well, I agree with you.
Don't go to them because we like the oil. But, you know what I mean? So they're our pals, and they like the Israelis.
You're getting very excited there, Kevin. Have you heard of a place called the Falkland Islands?
Of course I have.
Yeah.
What, 12,000 miles away, isn't it?
Something like that. But apparently we've convinced ourselves that by some magical process, it's ours. It's 12. It is about 12,000 miles away. Yeah, I think that's probably right. But obviously it's ours because I don't know, and neither does anybody else. Other than we bumped into it once after the French had. I think the Portuguese went there, and then the French left, and then we went there, and then we left, and then the French came back. And how is it ours? Because we nicked it last. Anyway, a delight, Kevin. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Charlotte texts, not to contradict, but I saw a rat eating a dead fox outside a supermarket in Willesden. It haunts me, says Charlotte. Wow. What kind of a supermarket would allow that to happen in its environs? Or its car park? Julia texts, when you referred to Fahrenheit as Her Majesty's Fahrenheit, I wonder why you called it that. Surely Fahrenheit is German. What would the Queen have to do with anything German? Says Julia. Dave sexts. No, that he absolutely does not do that. He texts. Some people maybe don't do everything weeks before Christmas at their leisure because in weeks before Christmas they have a job to go and do. Right. Yeah, well, I've got a job of sorts. I work over Christmas, Dave. Don't try and score points off me. I work every day from Christmas Eve until the 3rd of January. So you can take your attitude and stick it. Declan emails, I think these foxes are coming across in rubber dinghies. Yeah, that is probably true, yeah. That's as an appalling point as any to end on. Now, if you missed any part of this super show, then don't forget we do squirt it up the internet as a podcast. We take the news and the ads out, which, as I said before, means it will take less time to listen to. You'll use less electricity, and you won't have to sell your house to pay your fuel bill. Ask for it by name on an internet near you, and my glamorous assistant has assured me that it will be up momentarily. He actually hasn't assured me of anything of the sort, but that's what I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. It's called Nick Abbott, The Whole Show. I'll be back reading the texts that I didn't get around to last night, of which there are a boatload. If you stick around, Ian Payne will be here from 4 o'clock. But right now, in person, it's Clive Ball.
Nick, thank you. And coming up, after a disastrous week politically for Boris Johnson, some, even on his own side, are calling for him to go. Has this to go? 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 Has this to go?